When people go through the same amount of pain, of separation, of lack of whatever there can be in life, of lack of recognition, for example, uh, and well, financial lacks, physical lacks, emotional lacks. When people go through this yet again and again, and there seems to be nobody to answer their calls, to answer their requests, there always seems to be nobody when you would need help or something. But when you're ready to provide help, it's like everyone sits up in line, right? Everyone stands in line to get your help. But when it comes to receive something, oh, God forbid someone actually provides you with something, and you don't get any help, any guidance on how to live life. Everyone has, courses and the such on how to do this, how to do that, why is it, but nobody actually explains you how. They just tell you a certain set of things that most likely you will get from any other source for free. So a lot of people end up caught up in this trap of awareness that suffering is the only way there can be in life. A lot of people, unfortunately, throughout the times, they have become slaves of this idea. They have embraced misery as their comfort zone because misery is the easiest thing in life. It is the easiest thing to become miserable in life because all you have to do is nothing. When you don't do anything with your life, when you always take the easy path, obviously difficult things will come. When difficult things will come, obviously you are gonna be ill prepared for those, right? When you are ill prepared for those things, how can you handle them, right? You need to have a certain toughness. You need to have a certain sense of duty towards yourself because a lot of people will want your help. Everyone will want you to help them, right? It's all about them winning in life. And in many situations, when others win in life, you lose. Yes, you may give them things and well, they may move away. You may forget. Most likely, they're not gonna give it back or whatever. You may give them time and well, it's not gonna feel appreciated, and you may do it many times enough till you realize your own value. Because that is when a sick society declares you as an enemy, when you have observed your value. Even when we look at the world of work, for example, right? If you don't have experience, nobody likes you, right? Corporations don't want you. If you have too much experience, corporations don't like you. Even if they accept you, they still kind of don't like you. They pay you the least possible. Maybe they expect a bit more than you. But well, welcome to a sick society. When everyone goes through all sorts of these ignorancies of life, of all these bozos who don't care about themselves, and obviously nobody cares about the others as well if they don't care about themselves, everyone will feel void, will feel empty. This emptiness will always kill you from inside because, well, no human wants to live outside of what they were truly meant to be, a social human being, not a human doing. Because when you look at everyone else, everyone wants you to be one way or another, right? One has to remind themselves, one has to remember how were they once, right? A long time ago, before everyone told them how they should be, how they should behave, right? It happens with all the children. So when we look at this, a lot of people might end up thinking that suffering is the only way. See, suffering is not a punishment. Nothing in this life is a punishment, nor a reward. If you are miserable enough, you will always victimize. And a victim always thinks that everything that happens in the world happens specifically against them. Nothing happens against you. Nothing happens because it's deliberately wanting to hurt you. See, in life, you will have to go through certain events. Not necessarily that it is obliged to happen, but there are people in life who, just like me, prefer doing the hard things first so that we have more time for the easy things. But there are those moments in life where you do the hard things and then other hard things come and other hard things come, and it's like it's never ending. You don't even have time to focus on the easy things, right? So you do some of the easy things in between, and then you get used to this life where everything is a conveyor belt, right? You have to You're working on at a conveyor belt. All the problems and issues that come through just because things happen around you at your job and whatever, and you have to handle all of those. You end up in living in such an overdrive way that it's gonna be very hard to realize that you're burnt out, for example, right? And a lot of people think that being burnt out is some kind of punishment. No, that is a mechanism of your body, your mind, your physical body, to simply avoid further damage. Yes, because it is very hard to get caught up in this trap that you must do, must do, must do, because that is how you make the perfect slavish society, right? When everyone is convinced they must do things that way, when everyone is convinced that for whatever reasons they have to suffer. Creation did not give birth to you, did not allow your existence just to suffer. But you have to go through all sorts of things in life because life was designed in a certain way and everything happens sooner or later, right? Each event will happen sooner or later, more or less. It may be delayed or not, but something will still happen. Anything can happen in your life or that will impact your life. And well, not always will you be able to predict it, not always will you be able to deal with it on the moment. And a lot of people will think if that happened and it didn't make them feel good, obviously it's some kind of divine punishment or whatever. See, all the suffering that one has in their life, they are producing themselves that suffering in their life. There will be a lot of people who will make you feel pain, yes, especially emotionally. Why? Because they feel that you are volatile. What does that volatile mean? Well, in my personal terms, the term volatile refers to a person who is capable of exuding a lot of emotion as a reaction to something. So the point is, these bozos who don't care about you will always want you to feel pain, to feel something, because you'll put out so much emotion that in a way will remind them that they are alive, right? Because these people who love inflicting pain and misery and ignorance upon others, they love you to see you in the same way as them. Why they need you to exude emotion is so that they can feel a bit of that emotion, right? Of what it means to have some emotion, to have something that they forsook, they did forsake a long freaking time ago. Because you see miserable people, they hate their emotions, they can't handle their emotions. Yes, they are running away from what they are. They are running away from most of their thoughts. They are running away from their emotions. They are running away from mostly anything that reminds them of being human. So some of these will have you trigger some emotions just so that they can feel a bit of that. And that is also so that they can feel a confirmation that you're feeling more horrible than them. Because don't forget, misery functions like that. If someone's miserable, you must be 10 times, 100 times, maybe even 1,000 times more miserable. So this misery, this pain, is not a punishment from some god or whatever. It is just, to put it like an RPG, it is just the experience you need to go through in order to level up. Because how many times have you had those friends that you knew they are doing dangerous things? They are doing things that are hurting them. But still, for some reason, they keep doing those, right? They always take your words for granted. Because you know that, but you don't just know that. You have a certain experience, maybe from previous lifetimes, maybe you have seen other people go through that. But in the end, all of the things that you tell other people will not help them at all if they don't have the necessary foundation. Because if they don't have whatever you have experienced as a foundation, they will take whatever you tell them for granted. You can tell a smoker to quit smoking as much as you want. Until they have learned their fucking lesson, they're not gonna quit, even if it will cost their life. And when they find another life, sometime into the future, they will continue where they left. We don't know how many lifetimes someone needs to transcend a certain cycle or a certain self-destructive pattern, but it definitely may take a long time. Yes, it may take even dozens of lifetimes. We never know, right? When you look at people, some people need to smoke for 40 freaking years until they make their health, like they literally almost entirely destroy their health, so that they finally realize how important their health is. You see rich people, they get rich by sacrificing their health, and then they sacrifice their wealth trying to get their health back, right? This suffering is just the experience that you need in order to get better. Because only if you go through enough pain, only when you go through enough trauma, will you be willing to pull yourself out of the misery, right? To pull yourself out of the comfort zone that you have created, that you have embraced, the poison of the comfort that you live in. Hopefully, this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated. Take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferenc Jan Bohr signing out.